Knight gentleman soldier. Chivalrous impressive military career. Truthful 15 battles, more than any other. Honorable. Generous stained, dark tunic. Courteous not gaily dressed. Wise, not boorish possesses fine horses. Comparing and contrasting to modern day. Squire Teenage version of knight. Lover served with cavalry valiantly. Cadet knight's son. Lad of fire curly locks. Sings medium height. Plays the flute strong, agile. Writes and recites short gown with long. Songs and poems wide sleeves with. Jousts, dances, draws and red and white flowers. Sleeps little, comparing and contrasting father and son. Yeoman knight's servant. Green coat and hood hunting horn hangs from. Head like a nut bright green shoulder strap. Face is berown. Stylish leather carries the knight. Brace on arm equipment, bright. Shield and sword hang peacock feathers never. On one side droop. Sharp dagger on other nose woodcraft. Wears St. Christopher medal proper forester. Symbols. Prioress nun in charge of a convent. Speaks daintily in French soft, small red mouth, coy smile. Little dog she fed sings through her nose. Cries over a dead war veil. Mouse elegant nose. Didn't let a morsel glass gray eyes. Fall o'er her fingers coral trinket on her arm. Dip too deep with Latin inscription love conquers all. Very entertaining 9-inch forehead. Characteristics of beauty in medieval times. Irony looks that appear to break stereotypes, a gentle knight. A feminine son of a knight. A courtly or elegant nun. Second nun and 3 priests prioress secretary and priests who assist. Monk hunter hunting is his sport bald, shiny head. Spends his money on fat and pleasing. Horses and greyhounds eyeballs constantly moving. Bridle jingles as he glittering, supple boots. Ride sleeves garnished at the. Ignores rules for monk's hand with fine, grey fur. Took the modern world hood fastened with a gold, fashionable pen, friar licensed for confessions. Hubert limiter, licensed. Won't associate with to beg for donations. Lepers and beggars' voice was gay and sturdy. Keeps his hood or lisps, merry and festive. Sleeve stuffed with highly beloved and pins or pocket knives intimate with country folk. To give to pretty girls full and city women with money. Hears confessions with mormy measures repenting of sins by. Then a priestly scope amount of money donated. Sings and plays the hurdy-gurdy knows every tavern, innkeeper and twinkly, bright eyes barmaid, merchant businessman forking beer talks a lot about making multicolored dress money. Sits high on horse expert in selling. Wears a beaver hat foreign currency. And daintily buckled dabbles in loans and boots bargaining but in debt. Clerk Oxford student preparing for priesthood. Not too fat, hollow look horse is thin. Sober stare spends money on thread on overcoat books instead of is showing clothes. Speaks few words but likes to study. When he does, it's formal philosophy, wants respectful, to the point and to learn or teach. With a moral tone hasn't advanced in the church nor cares to work outside the church. Satire ridiculing and showing contempt for pretentious religious figures, pretending to be something they aren't or using their position to take advantage of the people, prioress, monk, friar, merchant, symbolizing the middle class who continually want more than they have. Clerk, would rather let his horse starve or go without food himself and spend the money on books. Wife of bath expert on marriage, clothmaker. Wide, gap teeth hose of the finest scarlet red and headdress covers hair and gartered tight, shoes soft and new. Neck, broad hat, large hips bold, handsome face, red in hue. Somewhat deaf, likes to laugh, gives advice on love and talk. Worthy woman no one dares to step in. Makes fabric better than front of her, 5 husbands and renowned manufacturers relations before marriage. Kerchiefs of finely woven has traveled widely. Ground, weighted a good 10 pounds, wears on her head on Sundays. Parson parish priest. Never neglects his people, regardless of the distance or weather. Holy and virtuous, a scholars who knows the not contemptuous, to gospel. Disdainful or proud, devout, hard-working. Discreet and fair and patient. Holy-minded, gives parishioners money. Well known from the church as well. Poor but rich and holy as his own thought and work. Plowman parson's brother. Wore a short, loose jacket made of heavy material. Digs, picks corn, hauls good and true, honest worker. Manure charitable, follows the helps the poor, not gospel. For money but for doesn't complain about love of Christ misfortunes. Pays his tithes to the steadily goes about his work. Church. Miller and thief of grain. Wore hooded blue and wide, black nostrils. White coat, mighty mouth like a furnace. Stout, big, brawny fellow, played bagpipes. Broad, naughty, and short, could win at wrestling shows. Shouldered, could heave a door off. Boastful, red beard like its hinges, or take a run. A fox's, wart on his nose and break it with his head. Loud and argumentative buffoon, had many tavern stories. Manciple Purchasing Clerk, food and supplies, for lawyers. Not as well educated as the lawyers he works for. 30 masters he cannot do. Caterers might follow his example. Never rash. Watched the market and benefited. Manciple Purchasing Clerk, food and supplies, for lawyers. Reeve estate manager. Overcoat of bluish gray, rather long, fools auditors by keeping storage of rusty blade at his side, grain trim, good at predicting harvest. Old, choleric, and thin, closely shaven, trusted by his master, but feared. Beard, haircut just above his ears by the workers under him. Lean, stick-like legs, knows bargains well, knows. Rides a dapple gray horse named Carpentry First Rate. Scott, rides at a slow trot from Norfolk. Oversees the holdings of the manor and finds the workers if he sees anything wrong. Has grown rich and has a store of treasure which he uses lavishly on his wealthy lord to earn his thanks or presents. Sergeant at the law, lawyer/judge. Wore a homely party-colored coat, girt with a silken, pinstriped belt. Wary and wise, of noted excellence. Discreet, famous, and well paid. Knows every judgment case and crime. Looks busier than he really is. Franklin Nobel landowner. White as a daisy petal beard offers his household to all. Dagger and white silk purse the county. Hung at his belt, house is well stocked with. Serves on local courts, food and wine of highest. Advising Parliament quality. Local sheriff, royal tax auditor. Cheerful, lives for pleasure, food and sensual delights make him happy, like eating cake and wine in the morning. Haberdasher, dyer, carpenter, weaver, and carpet maker, fraternity of tradesmen. Wearing hats and clothing of their class and occupations. Trim and fresh gear, look new. Knives of purest silver. Plan or aspire to be aldermen, wives are declaring they have earned it. Forming a guild, trade union. Cook travels with the guild can boil, roast, seethe. Fraternity broil and fry chicken. Ulcer on his knee soup or pie with flavor. Stood alone unspice. Could distinguish. London ale by flavor. Skipper seller / shipman. Steers a barge named Mandelaine. Wears a woolen gown that reached his knee. Dagger on a lanyard hangs from his neck. Under his arm. Tanned and brown, sends his enemies to their deaths by walking the plank. Rides a horse as best he could. Excellent fellow, steals wine while trader is asleep. Rules of conscience he ignores. Well traveled. Doctor physician blood red garments, slashed with bluish gray. And lined with stiff, smooth taffeta. No one could talk as well as he did. About medicine or surgery. Grounded in astronomy. Does not enjoy common pleasure. Of food and drink. Does not read the Bible much. Perfect, practicing physician. Works with apothecary to cure patients, which has made him rich. Summoner summons those breaking church laws. Fire red cherubinish face, from boils. Narrow eyes, hot and lecherous as a sparrow. Black, scabby brows, thin beard, garland on his head. Children were afraid because of his appearance. No ointment could cure his knobby white pimples. Loved garlic, onions, leeks, and drinking strong wine till drunk. Would shout and jabber as if crazy when drinking, in Latin, and could be bribed with a quart of wine, jokingly uses a cake as a shield. Carries punishments in his purse. Pardoner grants pardons for sins. Riding with the summoner rode in the latest mode. Just came from visiting Rome, bulging eyeballs like a hare. Sings and tells stories well, wallet full of pardons. Hair as yellow as wax, down signed by the Pope. To the shoulder, then locks voice like a goat. Like rat tails, smooth chin gelding, or a mare. Hood and wallet instead of head, pillowcase full of false relics. Only had a small cap sewed with Our Lady's veil, piece of self-from. A holy relic St. Peter when Jesus walked on water and made more than what the parson made in 1 to 2 months by the sale of these relics. Host mediator of the group and judge of the best story. Gave everyone a great welcome, with a place and fine supper. Including strong wine, jokes during the meal. Striking man, fit to be a marshal in a hall. Bright eyes, girth a little wide. No finer Burgess and Cheapside. Bold in speech, yet wise and full of tact. No manly attribute he lacked. Merry-hearted man. Proposes the telling of stories during the pilgrimage,